What are the sentiments in XTB following the publication of the preliminary financial results for Q2? Does the company believe that it will be able to surpass the watermark of 1 billion PLN in earnings this year? What are the plans for coming months? We'll talk about that today. In Prosto z Parkietu. My name is Przemysław Tychmanowicz. I would like to welcome you very cordially. My guest today is Filip Kaczmarzyk, a member of the management board of XTB. Thank you very much for the invitation. So, we've published the preliminary financial results for Q2. I would like to ask about the reaction that you had as management board members when you saw those results for the first time. What was your reaction? Did you pat yourselves on the back and say, well, the market was not too gracious to us? This is a result that was in line with our capabilities, or did you sit together, meet up and say, well, we could have done more? Well, I think we always say to one another that we're capable of doing more. I personally believe, and my management board member colleagues think similarly, having in mind what transpired on the marketplace in Q2 versus what happened in Q1, I believe that this result was very strong. Naturally, the market, investors reacted differently, but that's something that is inevitable. We always emphasize that you need to look at our business in the long run. One quarter is too short of a period. What is important is, in the long run, these results should be good or very good, very robust. It seems to us that when we talk about Q2, this was a soft quarter, but if that's the case, we would like to have more such soft quarters. We're very pleased with the results. A lot of contributing factors were in play. All of the markets showed exceptional volatility in Q1. That was exceptional. We cannot expect that every quarter will be as attractive as Q1. However, Q2 was a very robust quarter in terms of revenue. We're pleased, not only with respect to revenue, but also operating activities. So go ahead and let's take a look at slide 1 to illustrate these results. In Q2, 160 million plus in net earnings. In H1, 463 million PLN, nearly 0.5 billion. Is that the goal you've set? This year, you want to generate 1 billion PLN? Omar Arno, the CEO, frequently says in our conversations that sooner or later, this will be broken. Well, this is a very good question. I see the CEO has said something, and this is something that will follow him, but I believe that this is quite realistic. We are not preparing any forecasts. Unfortunately, many things are beyond our control. We focus on what we can control: customer acquisition, building the platform, customer satisfaction. However, what is crucial is volatility will sooner or later transpire. We're counting on it frequently appearing. What's the most important thing? We see that customers are looking for volatility. This is critical. So, if there are investment opportunities in gold, if there's something in cocoa, then customers will go in that direction. What's important is that customers at every moment in time would have a broad access to a wide array of instruments in order to be able to jump from one investment to another. So to be very frank, 1 billion, we all believe that sooner or later it will be achieved. Will it be this year? Well, we're going to keep our fingers crossed. So you talk about volatility. Monday's session on the global markets was probably the ideal session. Basically, you're thinking to yourselves, this was the creme de la creme. This was the salt of your business. Well, it's also the case that volatility is not equal to volatility, especially in our business. For obvious reasons, I can't talk about what happened yesterday, but this was a very distinct session. What was good? There was a very interesting set of circumstances on the market of yen for the indices. The same is true of natural gas. So across the board, we have to remember this was just one single trading day. This is something we always underscore. We will not generate 1 billion in earnings based on one day's results. We have to look at things in the long run, at least over a year-long period, and then this would be sensible. As we can say, volatility, like yesterday's session, is something that appears once in 10 sessions. Otherwise, people will be disenchanted. Okay, let's talk about the factor that you have a direct impact on, which is customer acquisition. 103,000 in Q2. In full H1, 232,000. Your quarterly goal this year is 65 to 90,000. Things are going better than you had anticipated. What is actually acting as a boost, especially since the volatility was slowing down? Well, it was slowing down, but it was not bad. It was not bad. It was lower than Q1, but it was not bad. What are we focusing on? We are focusing on the product offering. In H1, we were focusing on product marketing, such as investment plans, which have enjoyed a lot of popularity. A large number of customers is joining us for the purpose of setting up such an investment plan. It seems that the numbers we've posted are in line with our assumptions in terms of the number of accounts being set up. Please remember, Q2 also includes June, when marketing activities are being gradually slowed down. This contributes to lower acquisition figures. We have ambitious plans for the fall. We have new things we are going to be marketing. A lot of things will be happening in the fall, and we believe that these figures can be beaten. So when we talk about new customers, they are not as active as they could be, and they're selecting products which, from your perspective, are not high-margin products. That's clear, but we have to remember one thing. We look at our business in the long run. We look at our customers as an investor who joins us with a certain plan, then sees an investment opportunity. It's very easy for that person to switch the investments in which he's or she's investing. So we have equities, ETFs, and investment plans. And of course, it's natural. It's a natural thing, but in the long run, we do see that these customers sample different things, and this is something that's critical to us. This is our strategy. I understand the 65 to 90,000, that's the minimum level plan, because if you were to generate 65,000, you would be having quite a heated session at the management board. Well, I think that's true. Our ambitions are very high. It seems to me that the results we've posted in Q2 and H1 have shown that the expectations on the part of the market with respect to us are very high. Had we posted these results 2 to 3 years ago, then this would have been a wonderful set of results. Now, it's a big disappointment, so our ambitions are very high. It seems to us that we have a very good plan on how to deliver that, and it seems to us that everything will fall into place. So we can talk about CFD, the market that you started with. There has been a discussion in the social media whether or not you're earning money on the investment plans, equities, or not. What sort of mass do you need for this business related to something outside of CFD for that to generate very satisfactory revenue? Well, the mass has to be very big. We cannot fool ourselves. In order for this business to generate revenue that would have significance at the level of the overall company, this has to be a very big mass. There's nothing surprising here. Because if we talk about CFD, we are the market maker. We are not an intermediary. We earn money where there's a spread. We have a small premium based on market making, and that's why the revenue is much higher, and that's why it represents such a big portion of the overall mix. We're profitable in terms of equities and ETFs. We've set things up in such a way that we don't have to subsidize that business at all. But one cannot anticipate that having these type of instruments in mind, that these type of instruments would represent a large percentage of our revenue mix. Having this number of customers, we do need a large amount of mass, having in mind that CFD instruments are much more profitable, and that's a result of the fact because we are the market maker, so we're earning that spread. In terms of equities and ETFs, we are a middleman. We're only generating our margin. This is something that's quite natural, and it's not something that can be gotten past. But our goal is to earn money on these products. But what's critical here is to be able to respond to customer needs for customers in EXTB to have all possible instruments available to them. They would have market information, training, and once they log into the X-Station platform, they wouldn't have to look for information anywhere else or have to visit any other broker. Let's talk about some of the products, and we'll take a look at the next slide. These are the products that will be rolled out or have already been rolled out. Let's talk about the ones that have already been rolled out. We can talk about XTB Social. Unfortunately, this is something that had to be shut down in the Polish market. And so, is this topic totally shut down? Are you talking with the Commission? Are there some sort of negotiations? We're not talking with the Commission about this subject at this point in time. This is a subject that's closed, but it does seem to me that in the future we'll want to revisit the talks with the Commission in terms of XTB Social. We want to focus on its development on those markets where it's not forbidden straight out. We believe that we've done a lot of good work as we prepared that product. Unfortunately, the situation took a direction that we hadn't anticipated, not because of our fault, and so we're going to develop that on markets where that's possible, but we would not rule out the ability to return to that in the near future. Let's talk about some of the other products that are in your plans, bonds. And we've talked here about them being rolled out in Q2. When this did not happen, when could we anticipate them being added to the offering? Well, bonds should become part of the offering in Q3. Why didn't this happen? This was a natural shift, and there was a little bit of delay, having in mind the amount of work that needed to be done. There's no false bottom here. We have to prepare the products in such a way for them to be attractive to our customers, and at the same time, this has to be manageable from the point of view of the company. So we're working on that. This is something that should transpire in Q3. We continue to believe that this could be very interesting to our customers. So do you imagine there'll be a pilot market and then later Poland, or would you start with Poland? Well, to be frank, it seems to me that Poland will not be the first market. When we set up roll out these products, the lag time between one branch and another branch is at max 2 to 3 weeks from when we start in the first branch until we get to Poland. With respect to bonds, we believe that it's pretty well prepared and tested, so I don't imagine that we'll have any major lag time between branches. Let's go on to the next products. Retirement products, virtual portfolio, multi-currency card. When should we anticipate them being rolled out? We want all of these products to be rolled out this year. Pension products, retirement products will be at the end of Q3, maybe a bit of Q4. This is a product that's quite distinct. The product marketing is most sensible in Q4 when customers start to remind themselves about their pension accounts. So what's important here is for us to be prepared ahead of time in order to be able to do the marketing and to attract the customers. If we look at the virtual portfolio as well as the multi-currency card, these are projects which are at the testing phase. I can tell you that we've been able to do several transactions on the multi-currency cards, so we're well along the path. We need a little bit more time to complete things. I would say this is rather something for Q4. As we talk about products, we talked about regulations, and I think we have to revisit that subject because a lot has happened in recent weeks. We have the Spanish theme, where it's not the case that you cannot advertise CFD instruments, but also other services related to your operations. Was this something that astonished you? Was this a shock to you? Was this something like somebody putting a spoke in your wheel? Yes and no. It seems to me that we were aware of the intervention from Spain. This was announced in 2023. Many discussions were held with the marketplace, so the intervention itself was not a surprise. Over the previous year, we were working closely, talking closely, directly with the Spanish regulator in order to find the optimum solution for both parties. However, the situation was changed by the Q&As that appeared a few weeks ago, and they very clearly responded to the questions of what can be done, what cannot be done. So I would not conceal that we were a bit surprised because this was a slightly different direction from the one we discussed with the Spanish regulator. We did not have any exit. We had to think about then shutting down marketing spend in Spain. We're now at the stage of giving consideration to where we want to go with the offering in the Spanish branch. The money that was allocated to marketing in Spain will be redirected to other markets. We have savings. We plan for this money to be redirected to other markets. We see a lot of potential in products we want to offer in the fall. We do not plan savings. Rather, we would redirect that money to other markets and do higher marketing spend. Which markets? And the second question, are you concerned that the Spanish case could be replicated in other countries? It would be difficult to say about which markets, to which markets we would allocate funds. This would be done pro rata, but we'll define this in the fall when we prepare our marketing strategy. And when we launch that, in terms of the Spanish case, we do not have any signals that other regulators are also thinking about this. What's more, we have some comforting news from ESME from last year when they were making the evaluation of this, what the Spanish regulator had been drafting, and there was a quotation that said that ESME does not see sufficient evidence for other regulators to implement these type of solutions in their countries. So it seems to us that in the near term, we do not anticipate a similar situation taking place in other branches. Let me ask a question I already asked. Are you talking about the subject with Polish FSA? Does it have a plan? Are you in constant contact? Can we anticipate? We're not talking about the subject with Polish FSA at all. Let's go on. We've talked about regulations, marketing, and also about cost. Nearly 205 million in Q1 and Q2. Q2, as you said, is a very distinct period because the vacation period gets started. We slow down marketing spend. What should we anticipate in subsequent quarters? So Q3 also has a bit of the vacation period, then September, then the end of the year, and so marketing spend should be pronounced. That's clearly the case. We have a broad campaign prepared for marketing in the fall of this year, and as you said, this would be Q3, Q4. The most important thing is that we'll have a new ambassador, and the second thing, we'll have new products which we will market strongly, and we're counting that this will translate into customer onboarding. We also plan for marketing spend in 2024 to be 1/3 higher than in the whole of 2023. So the fall and winter marketing campaign will be about specific products, as we discussed, because you have several products in the plans. Or will you have a more general marketing approach? We'll have a bit of this and a bit of that. Generally, we will market our specific products. It seems to me that pension accounts are a very good subject matter for marketing, especially in Poland and in the UK. We will not be able to launch these accounts in all countries, so marketing will differ from country to country. We'll have bonds on top of that. We'll have multi-currency cards in the near future. We also have a lot of potential to do marketing of investment plans. So we have products and we have opportunities, options, many options. So I think marketing will go more in the direction of marketing. As we talked about, the new ambassador, the social media are talking about this quite strongly in your press release following the preliminary Q2 financials. So you said that you had 120 million people observing you in the social media, and then basically there's some betting going on who this might be. Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, Karim Benzema, James Rodriguez. Who's going to be the ambassador? That I cannot say. So I'm sorry. In the near future, really in the near future, we will disclose which one of those persons it will be. Well, I can only say that this is a person that's close to your heart. That's interesting. Let's go on. Technology and artificial intelligence. Technology. I will talk about what's happening in social media because there's an interesting discussion and a little bit of betting going on. If something's happening in the marketplace, everybody is wondering whether or not XTV is going to have problems with that. What do you think about that? We're very sorry to hear that because all of these remarks are well deserved. We are fully abreast of the situation that what happened several times recently is something that's totally impermissible. And this is not impermissible from the point of view of the customer and from the point of view of the company. That's why we're working very arduously. Naturally, we've had many questions from the Polish FSA what we plan to do, how to address that. So we have a large number of plans in short-term extemporaneous plans as well as long-term plans in terms of how well we can prepare the throughput of our servers. So we've been able to do quite a bit, it seems to us. In terms of our tests, we see that these problems have not appeared. And so it seems to me that at the beginning of the fall, we'll be certain that this is something that will not happen to us. We've taken this very seriously, and that's very obvious. One crash is awful PR for us. That's a large number of complaints and costs we have to incur. So this is natural that it's impermissible. But I think we've taken a very reasonable approach to the subject in terms of the short-term solutions as well as the long-term solutions. Artificial intelligence. Several months ago, you started testing this, doing some sampling, and you've hired some special people. What are your feelings? What are your experience? What do you think that you're going to be able to do here? Well, I would emphasize that we want to be a company that is AI-driven. There's a huge amount of potential in artificial intelligence. I personally believe that if somebody's not doing that, that means that person's 1.5 years behind, and in the long term, consequences will be born. I'm not saying that we have achieved what we want to achieve in terms of AI, because our ambitions are much greater. We are doing a lot. We're working on internal solutions, and we're looking for low-hanging fruit, which we're able to introduce quickly for our employees working inside the company. And in the near future, we want to introduce solutions that will be visible to our customers. This will probably start with a simple chat where customers can find information easily about XTB, about the offering, about legal regulations. But it seems to me in the long term, we'll have other solutions linked to trading because we see there's a large number of companies that have a connection between AI and trading. Those are pretty interesting solutions. So there's a lot of things to be done. We have really started to work on solutions that would provide support to our operating efforts within the company. One other thing about international expansion, I'd like for us to update where you are, because we talked about Indonesia and Brazil. What is happening in these two topics? Well, everything's on track, on schedule. We plan to set up these two branches in Q1 2025. We are at the stage of receiving various types of licenses, permits for our operations, as well as the transaction platform, especially in Indonesia. We have to make a large number of changes in terms of the transaction platform for it to be accepted by the local regulators. However, as I've said, all of this is on track. Q1 seems realistic. And is that the case? That in Q1 2025, there's going to be a green light that you can begin operations in both countries. Would you do it in both countries, or would you focus, for example, on Indonesia and then later with Brazil? That's an example. No, we want to act in parallel. These topics are somewhat distinct from one another. I don't see any reasons for which we would have to start with one. I think we'll be capable of launching both branches, perhaps not entirely concurrently, but these are not topics that would mutually exclude one another. What about other possible acquisitions? Are you monitoring what's happened? Do you see something in the market that would pique your interest? We always look at the market. That's clearly the case. We're previewing the marketplace. Historically, we've done a few acquisitions. These were not spectacular things, but these were things that enabled us to grow our business. We continue to look. Are you thinking about brokers or technological companies that have more advanced work in terms of that? We're not looking at tech companies. It seems that we're going to be relying on our in-house experience and knowledge in cooperation with third parties, but we are rather not looking at acquiring entire tech companies. But when it comes to brokers, well, historically, we've taken over brokers that had licenses in a given country because then the market entry is much easier. What should we wish X to be for the second half of the year? Volatility? Well, that 1 billion, that's what we'd like to wish you then. So Filip Kaczmarzyk was the guest today of our program. Thank you very much.